had her when she was 13, and now she was 13, thinking, what would my life be if I had a baby right now and I couldn't care for it and all that kind of stuff. So she grew up in such a chaotic family that I don't think she knew the relationship of any of the people around her. She didn't know whether they were uncles or brothers and sisters or mother's friends or grandma's relatives or how it all worked out. When she talks about mother, you don't know which mother she's talking about, whether it's her grandma, whether it's her natural mother, or whether it's one of the other adult females in the family. Her life was so chaotic. At one point, in a 3-bedroom house, there were 18 people living there.
That's my main thing, trouble. I get in trouble with the cops and everything.
Well, I used to have problems with theft and aggression, and I left in our school over that and came to a hospital and worked out my problems. Now I don't steal and I don't get aggressive as I used to.
But my parents split up and then they got a divorce, and I haven't had good times at all. You know, my dad, I think he doesn't want me anymore. I mean, that's what I think, is he's going to get married to some lady that has 5 kids. I ran away for 4 days straight in a row. I'll be gone somewhere, I wouldn't even care. I didn't either. I didn't think about my family worrying about me. Ran away on Mother's Day.
I turned teenager and everything went haywire. I started hanging out more, going out, pay the town rent, sort of like.
My dad calling my sister all kinds of names. Me and my mom getting into it. My brother's always getting into it. I just couldn't stand it anymore, so I just had to leave.
You can go on with her.
My mom and me, we didn't get along, and I run away. I tried to kill myself a couple times.
Kimmerer Village, Assumption, Illinois, founded in 1914 through the bequest of the late Philip B. Kimmerer. Kimmerer Village is a caring ministry of the Presbyterian Church. This child care agency, located on a 20-acre campus in rural central Illinois, provides care to both private and state-placed children from throughout Illinois and Indiana. Kimmerer began in 1914 as an adoption agency for infants. Soon, we were also serving the needs of preschool and early school-age orphans. Later, as the needs of the community began to change, Kimmerer Orphans Home became Kimmerer Children's Home. We cared primarily for dependent and neglected children on a long-term basis. And now our goal has become one of helping these dependent and neglected children return to their own families or to foster families after only a brief stay at Kimmerer Village. Today, a child stays here for an average of only 9 months to a year. This is a time of reflection, a chance to work out the problems that have built up over the years. Many of these children have had run-ins with the law. Many have received years of outside help before being placed at Kimmerer Village. They have passed from one family to another and experienced failure after failure.
We've had kids referred here who didn't even know their name. They had so many different names. Maybe they've had 3 or 4 adoptions, and their whole name changed each time. You know, they would go from Joe Smith to Ed Funk to whatever. Their names would change totally, first and last. poor times, and they'd get here and they wouldn't know which name they wanted or who they belonged to, or, I mean, that's really sad. Talk about identity problems. Somebody doesn't even know their name at 13 or 14.
There are many reasons why there is a need for Kimmerer Village.
Young people are exposed to so many things anymore that they didn't ever have to even cope with before. Too much, learning too much too soon, being exposed to too many things too soon. The drug problem, the alcohol problem, family breakups.
There's not enough preparing and training for parents. We step into it and all of a sudden we're there with lots to do with no training, and there's no more important job in the world than bringing up children.
Whatever the reason, the children who come here need our help, and they need it in specific ways, in the form of discipline, structure, and in being able to see that somebody cares. They are not hardened criminals. They are children. Children who have suffered a little more, hurt a little more, missed out on a lot. But nonetheless, they are children, normal in every way except for their childhood experiences.
I'm an ace at models, except when it comes to decals and painting. I got tons of models at home. Planes and battleships, cars, and all kinds of stuff. At the cottage, I've got a few models, too.
When I first came here, I didn't know what to expect. I guess I expected what happened, you know, people watching me all the time, people telling me what to do. It was like in the morning, they said, make your bed, William. I said, make my bed? I don't know how. I mean, at home, our maid did it, you know, I didn't know make a bed. You gotta be kidding. You don't know how to make a bed? No, I don't know how to make a bed. They didn't believe me. They had to call my mom and ask. She told him, no, he's never made a bed in his life.
Basically, the first 21 days, that resident is getting used to instructors, getting used to the fact that there are people who are going to be around who do care enough to help them do what they need to do. Our recipe for it, what we aim at, being consistent, being firm, and being structured. So that child, when they come into Kimmerer Village, knows where the limits are, knows what happens when it crosses over the limits, knows that he's not going to die, it's not going to be horrible and dreadful, he'll live through it, but there are consequences in the world when you do something wrong. And you know what the consequences are, and you get through them. And if you do that time and time, like 10,000 times 10,000, eventually they start thinking, you really are okay because what you say really happened.
The structure at Kimmerer Village is based on progressing along a series of levels, beginning with an intensely supervised level and progressing towards returning to the family, foster care, or independent living.
But here you know you've got it. If you can do good, you can go anywhere. You've got privileges and everything. So you know, it's up to you. And that's the way I like it. It's taking responsibility for actions. You do good, you get to go out.
And they come here, and once they start to experience some kind of success, either in relationships or in school, especially if it's in school, they start feeling better about themselves and they move ahead.
We also was the Portuguese navigator explorer. We also discovered the Spanish zone.
Our on-campus school is at the heart of the level system. A child begins with all classes here at Kimmerer Village. This provides the time needed to adapt to a new situation as a child begins to adjust. To find his or her own level, more and more classes are taken in the local public school. Throughout the Kimmerer Village program, the goal is to give the child the chance to improve his or her situation through their own actions. A child who has previously known only failure often experiences his or her first success in the school situation. Their success can then be built upon to improve the child's self-image and future chances for being a productive member of society.
Before I came here, I wasn't too good of a student and I wasn't getting real good grades. But the teachers here have more time to listen to you, so you get a little more help with your stuff. My best subject is biology.
Kathy, what I want you to do...
The key to success we have with these children lies in our professional staff. These trained and caring individuals provide the children with the discipline and role models that have been missing from their lives.
Oh, they're not here to just make you stick to rules. They care about you. And so they say, whenever you're down, just come to me. I'm here to talk to you.
Providing a sympathetic ear and a guiding hand, the staff work together to help the children help themselves.
The staff in general, they understand your problems. They help you as much as they can, as long as you're willing to help yourself, too.
Working with these children is no easy task. There are no overnight successes. There are few thank yous. Progress comes in tiny steps. You may not recognize it's happening until it's already there. And sometimes there is little visible progress.
My favorite way of explaining it is like a flower blooming. In the beginning, well, it's almost like a plant growing, because in the beginning you don't even see the seed a lot of times. And as they grow, a lot of times you can tell that there's buds there, but you don't see them. They haven't developed enough, or they won't let you see them.
With current federal and state cutbacks, the need for support from the church and private individuals is even more intense.
We had a case recently where a child in foster care turned 18. The state decided she didn't need to be funded anymore. The court declared it, and so now she has nowhere to live. She still has a year and a half of high school left. She's that far behind, but now she has nowhere to live because no one's funding it. It's a real strange situation, and you think, that's crazy planning. You just can't throw a kid away. When this kid was referred to us, she came totally beat up, black and blue.
Because she'd gotten in trouble, gotten herself referred through the state process. So you have this kid who has this long history of prostitution. Her mother died 2 or 3 weeks before she was placed here. Her father's an alcoholic, and you think, right, this kid has nowhere to go. You're going to send her right out on the street, and what's going to happen to her? That's crazy. We've spent 2 or 3 years of time, Kemmerer Village-wise and foster home-wise, in trying to intervene in this kid's life to change it. Now is not the time to say, well, we're not going to fund her anymore.
One of the most pressing needs today is for private funding to provide scholarships for the children who would otherwise fall through the cracks. Children who don't qualify for state aid and whose parents can't afford to pay for their stay here, but who truly need our help.
We had a family, this is so sad, we had a family who told us one time that they couldn't afford to pay for placement. They couldn't pay the price. Eventually the son shot the father. And those words kept echoing through my head. They couldn't pay the price of placement. And yet they paid so dearly in the long run because he was a very disturbed boy. And he shot his dad, killed him. And you think, what a price to pay! Golly! The cost of the price of placement would have been nothing compared to the man's life.
What price will the future pay if we must continue to turn away children in need of our help? What will happen to the children, their families, and our society?
people live a long, long time anymore. And if they get started on the wrong path and can't turn around, we all suffer from the impact. So a lot of this work that we do is from pretty selfish motives, let's face it. We're so interrelated that you and I are affected by what happens by the actions of other people. We have to help, not only for their sake, but for ours.
And Kemmerer Village is helping. Our ministry is one of helping children. Children who have already lived through a lifetime of hurt and trouble. Here at Kemmerer Village, children's fractured lives have been made whole through very daily human-like experiences. The kinds of experiences that build trust and love. We are reminded of the opportunity for new life, which was given to us by our own Savior, Jesus Christ. The Kemmerer Village ministry, this ministry of love, is part of that new life experience. For we believe it's not where the child has been, but rather where the child is going that really counts. There are many friends near and far who have chosen to walk beside and to encourage us in this ministry of love. As volunteers, with financial gifts, remembering us in a bequest, and especially offering up a prayer on our behalf. To you, we are grateful. As we walk into the tomorrows of life, we look forward to your continued partnership in ministry, as together we serve some of the least of these children on behalf of Christ and his church.
I'm getting myself ready for living on my own. I've learned how to take care of myself and that I can do it if I really try. My mom and I are going to give it another try. It isn't going to be easy, but at least now we maybe can talk things out more. We can stop and listen to each other.
I don't know what it's going to be like out there, but I'm going to try. And I know if I need help, there's always someone who cares, someone at Kemmerer Village.